go into regular business, then come back.
All set?
I think for payment of bills.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Barb, would you call the roll, please?
Counselor Pierce?
Here.
Counselor Ridgway?
Here.
Counselor Smart?
Here.
Counselor Warner?
Here.
Supervisor Rose?
Here. This evening we have with us Mount Pleasant Troop 761. They're here to observe government in action, to seek a merit badge. And I'm going to introduce all the boys that are with us tonight. Standing in the doorway, we have with us our constable tonight, Bob Anthony from the town of Granby, and with him is Jonathan Kassler. To my far left with Councilman Pierce, we have Matt Jaquin. With Jesse Warner, we have Bill Jaquin. And next to me is Jeremiah Kassler. And next to Claudia is Brad Bennett. And next to Jim Ridgway is John Haas, sorry. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, over with Barb, our town clerk, is Ryan Devendorf. Devendorf, I'm sorry. Okay. I just met them tonight and wrote their names down quickly. Okay. I'm going to ask John to lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, I'm out of order again. Roll call. Okay, first order of business is approval of the minutes. Resolution 95-73 moves that the regular town board minutes, April 13th, 1995, having been distributed, be approved without reading. I'll move it.
Second.
Any additions or corrections? Barb, we poll the council.
Counselor Pierce?
Aye.
Counselor Ridgway?
Aye.
Counselor Smart?
Aye.
Counselor Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Rose?
Aye. Next resolution, 95-74, transfer of funds. Would someone like to move that?
Move to transfer funds from A9710.6 Department of Service Principal Serial Bonds, $1,169 to A9050.8 Employee Benefits Unemployment, $1,169.
I'll second it.
Barb, we poll the council.
Aye.
Aye.
Counselor Smart?
Aye.
Counselor Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Rose?
Aye. Resolution 95-75, payment of bills. Would someone like to read that, please?
I'll move the vouchers number 123 through 151 in the amount of $18,920.33 general fund, and vouchers 95 through 126 in the amount of $11,033.61 highway fund, having been audited, be approved by the supervisor, be authorized to pay them from designated accounts. Councilman Ridgway did not sign voucher 146 for Save Video, and Councilors Pierce, Smart, Warner, and Supervisor Rose did not sign voucher 151 for Jim Ridgway. I know I signed the 151 voucher tonight after talking with Jim.
I signed it.
I think we all signed it. Yeah.
I need to respond on the Save Video because we agreed in our resolution in our organizational meeting, moved to accept proposal for Save Video to tape regular town board meetings, and we further noted that the agreement was for regularly scheduled town board meetings only. Additional or special meetings will be compensated only upon board request and approval. Now, there were two tapings in this particular voucher, and I don't, to the best of my knowledge, I don't believe the board ever approved the taping of the informational meeting regarding the steam plant. And that was in there for a $50 charge. I don't have a problem with paying for the $50 for taping the April meeting because that's what we agreed to. But the taping of the informational meeting, I don't believe ever came before the board for approval. And that's why I did not sign that one. And I'm not sure, Hart, I didn't remember signing the one for $2,000 for the surveyor. And the reason I did is because I couldn't find any place in the budget where we had appropriated funds for that. And that's for the property that is being purchased at this time. So I don't, if I signed that, it was an error. I did not mean to, but if I did, so be it.
Okay, well, the reason that is in there, Jim, obviously it's a legal expense that we had to incur for the purchase of that property, which was directed to us by our attorney. So we took that money from our legal fund to pay for it. You're right, there was no money budgeted because last year when we did the budget, we had no idea this was even going to come up. So obviously we had to pay the bill from somewhere, and it made sense to take it out of the legal account, and that's where it came from. Okay. As far as the meeting on the incinerator that was taped, you're absolutely right that no one approved it beforehand, but when this bill was presented, that was our opportunity to either reject it or accept it as a payment for the services rendered. And the board, with the exception of you, authorized that to be done, and they paid it.
Well, I would like the record to show then that my intent certainly is to pay for services that we have said that we would accept, and certainly one of them was Terry's taping regular board minutes. I wish that he would, in the future, if he does this, give us 2 vouchers so that we can make that decision without putting him and the counselor who votes against it in an awkward position.
Mm-hmm. That's a good suggestion, and we'll do that next time.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there a second on that motion?
I second it.
Barbara, you poll the council, please.
Counselor Pierce?
Aye.
Counselor Ridgway?
Aye.
Counselor Smart?
Aye.
Counselor Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Rhodes?
Aye. Okay, next order of business is communications. The first communication I have reads, Dear V0lney Town Board, this letter is written on behalf of the Girl Scout Troops 447 and 425 Fulton Service Unit. The recent tragedy in Oklahoma has touched us all. The Girl Scouts of the Central New York Council, as well as Girl Scouts throughout the country, will sponsor a memorial service and plant trees in the memory of the victims of the bombing. We would like your permission to hold this ceremony at the V0lney Town Hall on Friday, May 19th at 6:30 p.m. The trees will be planted in the area of the flagpole according to your preference. Reverend Jim Himmel will present to offer a prayer. The service will be short and the public is invited. Thank you for your help in providing a site. Leaders Linda Driscoll, Troop 447, and Sue Heppel, Troop 425.
You said Friday, May 19th?
May 19th at 6:30 p.m. is when they would like to do it. Does the board have any problem with this?
Sounds like a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Everyone in agreement? Okay, I'll let them know that we would certainly endorse that. Next correspondence. Oswego County Press Club. Dear Howard, we are pleased to invite you to be a panelist for a forum on the Oswego County Energy Recovery Facility and related trash disposal issues sponsored by the Oswego County Press Club on Wednesday, May 24th at 7 p.m. at the Fulton Municipal Building. Participants on the panel, in addition to yourself, will include St. Lawrence University Chemistry Professor Paul Connett and representatives from Oswego County. Each panelist will have up to 5 minutes for opening statements. A moderator and a local reporter will direct questions to the panel. We will also open the floor to audience questions to be directed to you from a stationary floor microphone, with up to 3 minutes allowed for your responses. To ensure a smooth-running debate, we ask that you arrive at 6:30 p.m. The debate itself will run from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. If you have any questions, please feel free to call me at 592-2459 or Chris Ulanowski at 341-3232. Thank you for your participation. Sincerely, Roy Hodge, President of Oswego County Press Club. That is this coming Wednesday night for those of you who would like to attend at the Fulton Municipal Building.
It's this coming Wednesday, which is the 17th?
24th.
I thought you said the 24th.
I'm sorry, you're right, 2 weeks. A week from this coming Wednesday, May 24th. Right. Okay.
It's 7 o'clock and one more time.
7 p.m., Fulton Municipal Building. Okay, next correspondence we received from V0lney Elementary School. I would like to thank you and the V0lney Town Board for their efforts in getting the blinking yellow lights on both sides of the V0lney School installed. I know how difficult it was to coordinate all the various aspects of this project, and I also know how hard you personally worked to achieve that end. We discussed the addition of reduced highway speed during the operation of the blinking lights. I have taken this idea to the V0lney School site-based planning team, and they have endorsed the concept. The team believes that a reduced speed of 30 miles an hour would greatly help the safe entrance and exit of vehicles in and out of our school. Therefore, on behalf of the V0lney School site-based planning team, I am requesting the V0lney Town Board to consider applying to the state for a reduction in the speed from 45 miles an hour to 30 miles per hour when the blinking lights are activated. Thank you very much for your time and consideration in this matter. Sincerely, Harry Waugh, Principal, V0lney Elementary School. I think we can probably consider that a petition to do so, and with the board's permission, I'll proceed to forward this letter on to the appropriate people.
Shouldn't we officially vote on it, though?
I'll make a resolution later in the evening for that then. Next letter we received from Congress of the United States, House of Representatives. Dear Ms. McEwen, I appreciate knowing of your interest in obtaining an American flag that has been flown over the Capitol of the United States for the residents of the town of V0lney. I would be delighted to donate a flag for this purpose and am making the appropriate arrangements to have one flown over the Capitol. As soon as this has been accomplished, I will forward it to you promptly. Sincerely yours, John McHugh, Member of Congress. Thank you, Barb, for that. Okay. Next order of business is communications, code enforcement. Cindy?
In April, 12 permits were issued, 2 for homes, 1 for a mobile home, 1 addition to a home, 2 accessory buildings, 2 pools, 2 decks, and 2 certificates of occupancy or miscellaneous. The total fees collected were $1,079.30. We issued 6 certificates of occupancy, 14 construction inspections were performed, 3 fire safety inspections, and 3 complaint follow-ups. I'm glad to see that the Boy Scouts are here tonight, and I'm afraid that we may teach them that government in action isn't always what we want it to be, but hopefully we'll do a good job for them tonight. I left the last town board meeting early because I knew there were some people who were unhappy with me and the way I was doing my job, and I thought perhaps if they had a chance to vent their frustrations, they might feel a little bit better. After watching events in the paper this week, we know that's not so, but there are a couple of things that directly affect my office that were spoken about at the last town board meeting. I did watch it on tape. That were incorrect, that I wanted to make sure people understood so they don't have a problem if they're trying to reach the code enforcement officer. The times for my office hours are 9 to 11 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Does not mean that I am only available 4 hours a week. What it means is those are times when I will be in my office. If you're trying to get in touch with me, I'm always there those days and those times, unless I'm on vacation, I'm sick, or I'm attending a class. I normally work about 20 hours a week, and I'm usually in the town hall from 9 to 1. I understand that that's not the same time that everybody else may need to do business, and so if you need to make arrangements for another time to see me, we now have a new phone system which will allow you to call and leave me a voice message, and I will be able to access that from my home, and I can check messages all the time. Even though I'm not here full-time, I can check messages at home. It was mentioned at that time that I receive a full-time salary, and I believe that Howard pointed out that I did not receive a full-time salary. I'm paid $7,500 a year, and if I worked full-time, that would be $3.60 an hour, and I don't believe that's even minimum wage at this point. Also, 20 hours a week is the maximum I'm allowed to work under county and state regulations, or I'd have to pass a test called a civil service exam for the job I do. Anyone who is a code enforcement officer who works more than 20 hours a week has to be certified by the state under this exam. I have a certification that says I've been to the classes, but I haven't taken the test. So, if the town chooses to have a full-time person, they'll have to get someone who has the test. If the person who complained about the pay that I'm getting were really concerned, they might have talked about our ZBA and planning boards, because if I had worked 4 hours a week, $7,500 a year would amount to $36 an hour. And $36 an hour is pretty good pay to almost anybody here, I'm sure. It would be very good pay to me. Our planning and zoning boards, some members of our boards, I'm not saying all of them, and I'm not saying the majority of them, but some members of our boards come to our meetings, and that's all they do. They're here for 2 or 3 hours a month, and they're paid $100 a month. So they receive between $33 and $50 an hour for that work. Many of our planning and zoning members, and most of them, including the person making the complaint, does a lot more work than that. They research, they look through their files, they go over the materials that will be covered at their meetings. But I'm here every day, and I put work in their baskets, and I know that some of them never pick up their mail until the meeting that night. So if we're really concerned about who's being efficient with the town money, I think we need to really look at who's wasting it. The other complaint that was lodged was that I don't like to accept phone calls at home, and that's true, I don't. I like working part-time. I have 3 young children, and when I go home, I have many things to do. I have places to take them. I'm a Girl Scout leader. I have to go run meetings. I take them to soccer games and piano recitals and piano classes and all those same things that people with children do. And I don't have my books at home. I don't have the maps, my manuals, all the things I need with me at home. So it's often difficult for me to answer a question for you correctly. I don't have any of the volumes that I work out of memorized. They're just too large. And so, although I don't really mind during normal business hours, what would be traditionally business hours, taking calls at home. I have received calls at home on Friday night at 10 o'clock, Sunday mornings at 9, and those are calls I do not appreciate. I am an appointed public official. I don't think it's reasonable for me to be on beck and call of this town 24 hours a day. So I hope the new phone system will help, because if someone is trying to get in touch with me and wants to be sure I get a message, there will be voicemail. Sometimes contractors would like to leave me a message and let me know, hey, Monday morning we're going to pour concrete at 9 o'clock. And I can check those messages and know that I should be out there early. So, again, if you need an appointment with me and it's during a time when I'm not here, please call and leave me a message, and I'll do my best to make myself available at a reasonable time. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Dog control, Jerry?
Received a total of 73 calls received. 2 dogs adopted, 4 dogs redeemed, 1 dog euthanized, 7 dogs were at the kennel this month picked up, 0 dogs at the kennel at the present time, 6 dogs reported lost, 3 dogs bites were reported, total 653 miles were traveled. Repair at the kennel was completed with spring cleanings done, tires raked, and lawns mowed. Repairs need to be done is painted inside and the walls, the floor and the walls is chipped away. And we should talk sometime or another about dog census this year. Like I said, a lot of them are not licensed. Fire get very poor response on sending notices all the time.
Okay. Thank you, Jerry. I don't believe we have any assessors here tonight. I did read at the last meeting the grievance day, and I don't recall what the date is. Barb, do you remember the actual date for grievance day?
23rd.
23rd of May.
It's 4 to 6 and 7 to 9.
4 to 6 and 7 to 9 on the 23rd is grievance day. Barb has forms that they can get from you to fill out if they do wish to see the assessors and grieve their assessments.
Yes.
Okay. Zoning board, Marie?
Yes, we had a zoning board meeting, and we had 2 public hearings at our meeting this week, and Mr. V0lney from Babcock Oil submitted an application for a special use variance and an area variance, and we had to send the information to the county. The county responded in favor of some of the information. They were concerned about the area variance, but we addressed that, and as far as the use variance, they felt that was a local issue. They didn't see a problem with it, but one of the things that they did address that we also addressed was the screening on the side of the building, and for the protection of the neighborhood, because it is a commercial in a residential area. He agreed to use neutral colors on the building and to work out some type of screening with the neighbor to her satisfaction, so her view wouldn't be blocked but it would still be appealing. And Mr. Giovanetti was very diligent in providing us all the information that we needed, so we were able to act very efficiently for him. The other public hearing we held was for Ron and Christine Austin. They're located on the Dougal Road, and they've submitted an application for a special use permit for a family restaurant. The hearing lasted about an hour because there was a great deal of neighbors there that appeared, and they raised many issues. And one of the concerns that they had is when I asked Mr. Austin if he was going to apply for a liquor license, and he said yes, and many of the neighbors were concerned about that because they didn't want liquor served at the restaurant, and so they wanted us to look into that to see if there's anything we could do. However, when Mr. Austin submitted his plans for the restaurant, we reviewed them, and there was no information or any drawings on the on the plans for a restaurant per se, like a kitchen facility. There was no sink, there was no stove, and when I asked Mr. Austin, he thought maybe the designer or the draftsman must have left them off, and so the board determined that this was an incomplete application because without the proper information for us to look at, there was no way that we could make a determination on special use permit. One of the concerns that I had on the plans that there was such a large cooler, and with a large cooler, it gave the appearance of a convenience store, and I know Mr. Austin at one time did talk about a convenience store, and I know the neighbors raised this issue, and I really hope Mr. Austin is not being advised or being misled to think that the convenience store can be designed into a restaurant. A restaurant is allowable use in an agricultural zone with a special use permit. A convenience store is not. And the zoning board has to go according to what the zoning is, and we have to follow that. And that's what we're doing. So what we did is we asked Mr. Austin if he would want to cancel the public hearing altogether, or if he wanted to go back and have the plans redrawn, and he said that he would like to have the plans redrawn. So as a courtesy, Mr. Austin, we agreed to table the public hearing for 1 month, and it will be scheduled for next month at 7 o'clock, June 14th, if anybody wants to come and voice their concerns before it. The other person to come before us was a Mr. Tubbs, located on Route 3. He has 3 parcels on his property, and he wants to turn his garage into a home for his daughter. There was some confusion comparing the tax maps to his survey, and what we suggested that Mr. Tice do is go back and speak to the code enforcement officer to determine exactly where his boundaries were. It was very difficult. He wasn't sure, and he thought the tax maps didn't agree with what he had. So we've asked him to go back, provide the information to Cindy, and let her do the measurements to make sure that these boundaries are exactly where he thinks they are, so that he can come back to us. He might need a variance, and so that's what we're going to make a determination on. One of the things that the board did do is tell Mr. Tice that if Cindy did advise him that he does need a variance, that they would leave to my discretion to call a public hearing, so he doesn't have to wait till next month to re-advertise. So there may be a public hearing next month for Mr. Tice as well, after Cindy makes her determination. Thank you.
Thank you. Recreation, Sue here tonight.
Yeah, bring it.
Hi, Sue.
Hi. Back in April, we had 25 children attend the trip to the Museum of Science and Technology. The upcoming events are tomorrow, Saturday morning, we're going to have some arts and crafts for Mother's Day, so the children can come down and make some arts and crafts or something for their mother for Mother's Day. And that's from 10 to 11 tomorrow morning here at the Town Hall. And then next Friday evening, we're going to have a children's bingo, and that's open to children of all ages. That's from 7 to 8:30 p.m. here at the Town Hall.
Thank you. Planning Board, Kevin. Did you have a report for Kevin? No? Barb, did you have a report for Kevin? Okay, I'm sorry, but we don't have anything from planning tonight. Historian. Fern?
Well, I ordered copies. I got information in the mail that they were doing reprints of the history of Oswego County in 1877 and landmarks of Oswego County in 1895. And I've received the books now, and they'll be available in the historian's office. Also, they sent along catalogs for American genealogies and family histories, and also a reference in resource books that could be asked about. sometimes, even though the books are anywhere from $45 to $100, if you have a family name that you want just that portion, then you can get it for under $10, I believe, and it's not bound, but it's paper fastened together for you. But it, so it'd be easy to order those for an individual if they came in and found they wanted more resource on the family and background on the name. It isn't necessarily always your family, but it might tie together somewhere way back. So. And again, I've been away for 3 weeks, but I'll be back in the office on Tuesday. So anyone wants to give me a call at home, or Barb knows whether I'm here and coming in usually. And if it's a time that I'm not usually here, if someone's visiting and wants to go over whatever files are in the office, they just give me a call. I'll try to be available.
Thank you. Highway. Barb, did you have a report?
2 days plowing and sanding, 19 days machine repair, 15 days road work, 2 days repairing signs, 2 days taking out beaver dams, 4 days cutting trees. The wages for April 1995, $19,217.48. Machine parts and materials, $11,033.61. Total expenses, $30,251.09, and that was submitted by Bob Kerfine.
Thank you, Barb. Okay, next order of business is old business. Does the board have any old business tonight?
Yeah, I had just, excuse me, one concern, Howard. When I left the last board meeting, we had scheduled May 9th as the time that we were going to do our bill signing. Well, I called the town clerk's office and was told that we were not going to do it on May 9th, we were going to do it May 10th. Well, I had other plans for May 10th, but no one had called me to tell me that we were going to do the bills at that particular time. And thirdly, Claudia called and told me that, just happened in mentioning that we were going to do the town board, she called and told me, asked me about the town board meeting. I said, that was fine, we changed that to Friday night. But then, the situation was, I had it in my book at 7 o'clock. I just happened to be looking in the Valley News yesterday and came across the article that you had in, and it said 6. So I called Barb and I said, Barb, what time is the meeting? She said 6. Now, I know it was in the paper, but I didn't see the issue of the Valley News where that ad was placed. So I wish in the future, if we're going to do this, somebody would make an effort to call the board members. I don't know if everyone else was called, or if for some reason I missed a call, but I sure was almost out of meetings this week.
Yeah, I think it was a misunderstanding between Howard and I, because when I said you hadn't gotten a call, he said, well, didn't you call him? So apparently it was a miscommunication there, so apparently I was bad, Jim, I'm sorry.
Well, what I'd like to have you do, though, if you just have Barb. In the past, Barb's always called you, either left it on my machine, or, and then I get the message, but if
Okay.
she could always be the
All right, Barb,
avenue.
you always called, and it's never my fault.
If you could be the avenue, Barb, it would be a lot better. I would
Okay.
think, because I almost arrived here at 7. Missed that meeting.
Usually I do have Barb call, but I thought that Claudia had told you about it, so I left it at that. And I had already told Bill and Jess and okayed it with them, so.
No, the
and we,
meeting tonight was, she cleared with me, but not the time change. And I wasn't aware of that, so I really, but I called Barb and found out that.
we did have it on the calendar in time, I know that, and it was in the paper a week ago Monday, so, you know. But I apologize that you didn't get the information in time, Jim, and we'll make sure that Barb makes all the calls from now on.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Any other old business from the board?
Say something?
Sure can.
Now that this board has proven that the town is performing its obligation of providing areas for recreation for all the town residents, the park located across the road has progressed now to a point that above-ground items are now needed. Our residents through taxes have done their share. Now the time has come for our business to get involved. Here in V0lney, to the best of my knowledge, Northern Ready Mix has gone out of its way by donating sand, also other items they have sold at their cost. Here's a company that hasn't received any IDA funds, EDZ funds, but who has been a good community citizen. Now it's time for our corporate citizens like Owens, Illinois, Meadows, Jefferson Smith, River Glen Mall, that have received or got help from the IDAs, EDZs. These same companies are now going or threatening to go to court to get lower assessments. By receiving EDZ funds, they are causing residents' utility bills to increase by 4% per billing cycle. Not only has one company received these benefits, but also lowered their company employees' pay by approximately $2.50 an hour. Now, a challenge for these corporations would be to come forward and donate items needed for these recreation areas, so that our residents and our employees who've had to make many sacrifices so these corporations can increase their profit lines would have a nice place to go for rest and recreation. I would like to extend an invitation for these local corporate leaders to meet with the Town Recreation Committee to discuss the needs and requirements that would make these areas useful to the public. I would like to state that the only corporate leaders and the Recreation Committee should meet without any political interference. Also, to help keep this park out of the political arena, I would like to propose to the Recreation Committee to suggest to this board that the park be named after a local fireman and former leader in the operation of this town. I myself believe that it should be dedicated and named in a memory to former fire chief and town highway superintendent Joe Vant. And I'd like to say thank you again to Northern Ready Mix. They're the only ones in the town of V0lney that has come forward to help the Recreation Committee. Also, outside of town, Central Tractor has donated stuff. Agway has donated some stuff. We have an offer from the Yellow Freight out of Syracuse for a tractor trailer for our needs. And I just believe that it's about time that our community starts supporting us. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. I'd also like to thank Northern publicly for their very generous offer of sand and other items for the park. We really appreciate it. And it's allowed us to continue with our efforts, and we do have 2 volleyball courts that are all ready to go. We're hoping to get our basketball courts blacktop very soon, and the ball field area, we're looking for donations for grass seed, which we've already received some. And if anyone knows anyone that's willing to donate grass seed, that'll help us get the seed in and get that ready for the kids for maybe this fall. Any other?
Yeah, there's one other thing. Several people had asked me where things were with the grant that we had applied for acquisition of the park property. I called the central office of Parks and Rec today, and they said that with the budget not being passed yet, they haven't officially met as regions to choose the acquisition projects until they know what their budget is. But they have gone through the screening process and are ready to do the presentation, so as soon as the budget gets passed, the process should be able to move along quite quickly.
Okay, thank you. Any other old business? Okay, we'll move on to resolutions and discussion. First resolution, 95-76, renewal of insurance policies. I'm going to have Jeremiah read that, if you would, please, Jeremiah. It's this resolution right here.
Move to renew the policies through the Eastern Shores Association at the current levels of coverage and deductions for the cost of $29,859.
Thank you. Jeremiah will move it.
Second.
Okay. Barb, will you poll the council?
Counselor Pierce?
Aye.
Counselor Ridgway?
Aye.
Counselor Smart?
Aye.
Counselor Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Rose?
Aye.
Okay. I'm going to read this next one. I'll have you read the last one, okay? Okay, I'm going to read this next one because I need to explain some things on it. Resolution 95-77. Move to schedule a public hearing for local law number 95-1. Move to allow the town clerk to advertise for a public hearing to adopt local law 95-1 to consider a prior notice law. I'm going to explain what a prior notice law is. A local law providing for written notification of defects and obstructions on town highways, bridges, streets, sidewalks, crosswalks, and culverts in the town of V0lney. What that means is that if there is, well, let me read the section 1 here. No civil action shall be maintained against any town or town superintendent of highways for damages or injuries to person or property sustained by reason of any highway, bridge, street, sidewalk, crosswalk, or culvert being defective, out of repair, unsafe, dangerous, or obstructed, unless written notice of such defect, unsafe, dangerous, or obstructed condition of such highway, bridge, street, sidewalk, crosswalk, or culvert was actually given to the town clerk or the town superintendent of highways, and there was a failure or neglect within a reasonable time after the giving of such notice to repair or remove the defect, danger, or obstruction complained of. No such action shall be maintained for damages or injuries to person or property sustained solely in consequence of the existence of snow or ice upon any highway, bridge, street, sidewalk, crosswalk, or culvert, unless written notice thereof specifying the particular place was actually given to the town clerk or town superintendent of highways, and there was failure or neglect to cause such snow or ice to be removed or to make the place otherwise reasonably safe within a reasonable time after the receipt of such notice. 2, the town superintendent of highways shall transmit in writing to the town clerk within 5 days after the receipt thereof all written notices received pursuant to this local law and subdivision 2 of section 65A of the town law. The town clerk shall cause all written notices received pursuant to this local law and subdivision 2 of section 65A of the town law to be presented to the town board within 5 days of the receipt thereof or at the next succeeding town board meeting, whichever shall be sooner. This local law shall supersede in its application of the Town of V0lney Subdivisions 1 and 3 of Section 65A of the Town Law. Now, what that means is that the town, obviously we can't do everything. We can't be everywhere and we can't know it all. So what this is designed to do is protect the taxpayers of this town in the event that there is a problem somewhere that we don't know about, and unless we know about it, we really can't do anything about it. So people would have to notify us of the condition, and we have so many days to respond to it and correct it, and if we don't, then we're obligated to being sued or whatever. This is something that all the towns are doing. Insurance companies like to see it on the books, and that's what the local law will be about. So the motion was to call for a public hearing for this local law, and I'll move it.
I'll second it. That was the discussion I had, Howard, was this come more or less through the insurance company they wanted? Didn't this come through with the insurance company wanted this?
Yes, this came from the New York Municipal Insurance Reciprocal, which we are members of, and they're asking us to do this, and it certainly makes sense. Any other questions or comments from the board on this resolution?
I'm sure if something happened to someone, actual damages you'd never get around, but this type of
Right.
law would help for the punitive damages.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Any questions or comments from the public on this resolution? Colleen, state your name for the record, please.
So would this prevent, you know those couple of lawsuits you've gotten in the recent past, when people get in car accidents and then they try to sue the town, would that make us not liable for that, or?
I'm not sure how far this goes, but I would suspect that, yeah, it would have some effect on that.
Like I know there was 2 young girls in a car accident, and then a little while later, next thing you know, they were suing the town of V0lney.
Mm-hmm.
It was our fault.
Right, like we didn't remove the snow quick enough, or the roads weren't salted yet. I mean, you know.
I didn't think it was in the winter, I think it was a dry road.
I'm sure this has something to do with that as well. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Okay, Barbara, you poll the council, please.
Counselor Pierce?
Aye.
Counselor Ridgway? Aye. Counselor Smart? Aye. Counselor Warner? Aye. Supervisor Rose?
Aye.
This next resolution, 95-78, bonding for hydraulic excavator, I'm going to have Brad Bennett read.
Move to adopt the resolution to authorize issuance of $100,000 serial bonds to finance the purchase of a hydraulic excavator.
Okay, Brad moved it. Would someone like to second it?
Second.
Okay, Barb, oh, I'm sorry. Is there any questions or comments from the public on this resolution? Okay, Barb, will you poll the council?
Counselor Pierce?
Aye.
Counselor Ridgway? Aye. Counselor Smart?
Aye.
Counselor Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Rose?
Okay. While we're on resolution, I'm going to bring up the one about the V0lney Elementary School speed limit, and I'd like to ask the board to authorize me to proceed with having the proper authorities look into this. So I'll make a motion to that effect.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any questions or discussion on that? Any questions or comments from the public? Okay. Barb, will you poll the council?
Counselor Pierce?
Aye.
Counselor Ridgway? Aye. Counselor Smart?
Aye.
Counselor Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Rose?
Thank you. I'd like to make one other resolution that we don't have on there tonight, too, and that is we do have new phone systems here now, and there's assigned numbers. They're not published in the phone book yet because we just got the phone system in, so you won't see them until next year's publication. But in the future, you'll be able to call the town clerk directly, the town supervisor directly, the assessors directly, the justices directly, and the code enforcement officer directly. Am I missing anybody? Is planning and zoning involved in that too, Barb, or is that all of them?
Yes, planning and zoning.
There is a number for them too, okay. So they'll all be published, so you won't have to make all your calls to the town clerk. If you have a specific question for any one of the other departments, you'll be able to call them directly. If they're not there for some reason, there'll be either an answering machine or a voicemail that you will get, and you'll be able to leave a message for them directly. So that hopefully it'll streamline things around here and take a lot of the extra work off of Barb trying to take messages for everybody, and also having the phone ring 6 times while she's on another line. So what I'd like to ask the board, if I can do, is publish a notice of those numbers in the paper now so that people are aware of them, since they're not going to be in the phone book this year, and it'll be one of those clip and saves so that you can clip it out if you want and put it on your refrigerator or whatever. Okay, so I'll make a motion that we advertise the numbers in the paper so that the public will be aware of them.
Isn't that a news item? We'll get that in the paper, there's a news item rather than
We could, but they'd have to read the article, and if they don't read the whole thing, I think it'd be nice just to have a little bitty one there. You know?
we can get the press here a little bit.
Second? Okay. That's Barb to poll the council.
Barb, poll the council.
Counselor Pierce?
Aye.
Counselor Ridgway?
Aye.
Counselor Smart?
Aye.
Counselor Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Rose?
Thank you. Okay. New business. Is there any new business the board has for tonight? No new business. Okay. Does anyone have any petitions to present tonight? Okay. Thank you. Would you like to read this, or would you like me to read it? Okay. We have a petition tonight for the removal of a town official. We, the residents and property owners, taxpayers in the town of V0lney, present this petition asking for the removal of Cynthia R. Talbert as building inspector and zoning code enforcement officer for the following reasons. 1, lack of knowledge of the local building and zoning codes. 2, uncourteous reception and dealings with residents and builders. 3, favoritism by Mrs. Talbert to certain individuals while aggravating and harassing others. 4, Mrs. Talbert's attempt to overregulate V0lney. 5, limited access to Mrs. Talbert for information because Mrs. Talbert sets very limited hours. And 6, Mrs. Talbert's lack of any compassion for individuals in this town. 7, discrimination. Okay, we will file this. Okay. Before I open the floor for public comment, I would like to make a comment of my own. Many of you may have seen the newspaper this week. There were 2 ads placed in the public notice section of the paper, the legal notice section, which is reserved for municipalities and legal notices. Why this particular ad was in that section, I do not know, but I did address it with the editor of the paper, and he assured me he would make some corrections to that. It was not a public notice, official public notice of the town of V0lney, even though that's what it said. It was signed. It was not signed by anyone. It was just said residents and business owners of the town of V0lney, and it had to do with this petition. I just want to let everyone know tonight that that was not, again, placed by this town board. It had no business being in the public notice section. It was, in my opinion, a paid political ad. And if anyone is here tonight to comment, as that ad invited you to do, we are not going to hear comment on that particular ad because we did not sanction it. But if you would like to submit anything in writing, as this petition has done, concerning our code enforcement officer, and if you have any definitive proof that she has wronged you in any way or not held up to her duties as a town official, we would be happy to accept them and review them, and if they merit action, we will take action. That's all I'm going to say on that subject. So if you have any comments on that tonight, save them, because we're not going to listen to them. If you have any other public comment, I'm now going to open the floor to public comment, and I will say I'm not going to tolerate any insults, abusive language, name-calling, or you will be asked to leave. Thank you. I'll now open the floor for comment. Fern?
Fern Harkin, Mount Pleasant. I just would like to say, you didn't say what kind of grass seed that was needed. There are so many different kinds.
To be honest with you, I really don't know, but I would assume it would be the type that could handle the sun, because this is an open area. There's not much shade there at all.
You haven't decided on a particular kind.
I haven't looked into it, so I don't know what is needed. But I do know there's different grades for different types of soil and different types of lighting conditions and so on. Randy, do you have a suggestion?
Well, what we've done is we're asking for donations from anybody. So basically, we're going to get whatever they give us, from a big barrel and mix them all up. Because we got, I mean, if we go for one particular type, then we're not going to get any donations. But we're getting broken bags from some of these companies. And if somebody wants to give us stuff, sure, we'll use. And if you're going to go out and buy it, we'll tell you what you're going to get. But whatever we can get right now, that's a big open field. We're talking 4.5, 5 acres. Whatever we get, we're going to put it in one big hopper, mix it all up, and then spread it. Something on it is better than nothing. It's better than nothing.
If one doesn't grow, maybe another one will.
Yeah, that's right. So we just, whatever we can get, we appreciate it because it's a big field. It's nice and level, and it's moist, and it's ready right now.
Thank you, Randy. John?
During this debate on the incinerator, I heard some things about you, and I'd like to ask you if they're true. I heard that you're involved with an environmental group called Greenpeace. Are you in any way involved with this environmental group?
Involved with an environmental group? You mean a member of Greenpeace?
Well, a member or involved in any way?
I'm not a member of Greenpeace. I was involved with them once when they came to town here to give information about incineration. That's the only involvement I've had with Greenpeace.
Okay. You wrote a letter to Greenpeace, and you also wrote to Armstrong?
I wrote a letter to Greenpeace?
To Mr. Munson?
Probably.
Okay, so then you are involved with Greenpeace more than just...
Well, if I write a letter to them, if you want to call that being involved, yeah, I guess I'm involved. Sure. Is that it? Oh, okay. Colleen?
Colleen Scott, Flood Drive. I just have a little comment about Mr. Crowley in Fulton. I'm really, I just confused why he's so concerned about the town of V0lney. He's an elected official in the city of Fulton. And I don't know about anybody else, but I'm getting darn sick and tired of him writing letters to the editor of the paper, and the only thing he seems to be able to comment on is little barbs at the town of V0lney. I don't understand why he's doing that, and I'm really, as a citizen of the town of V0lney, I'm really getting tired of it. If he wants to straighten things out or make things better, I think he should be looking in his own backyard, because I think they've got a lot of problems down there, and I really don't appreciate his comments.
Okay. Any other public comment? Donna?
Donna Kestner, County Road 45. I wanted to thank people. I'm a member of the Recreation Committee out here, too, and I did want to thank Northern. They were very, very gracious to us, and our park has finally become a reality over there. But I'd also like to thank Mr. Pierce, Mr. Warner, and Mr. Rose, because I know that you've been accused of being out here in this town for your own personal gain, but I've seen you sweating over there in the park, putting the poles in and doing the raking, and we really, really appreciate to have the majority of the town board's backing for the park. Thank you.
Thank you,
Maybe
Donna.
the kids will be playing in it by the end of the summer.
Mm-hmm. I'd also like to thank the members of the Recreation Committee who've been over there helping and raking sand and spreading it and so on, too. There's only a handful of them, but they've really worked hard, and I thank them for that. Any other public comment? Gary?
Yes, I'm wondering, are there any restrictions in the town, like on these gravel beds and stuff? Can they just extract all the gravel they want, and they just walk away, leaving them banded, or do they have to bring them back to the original shape, or what?
Well, there are...
Right around, you see all kinds of, being there, they maybe should be about it, they have to restore them back to the original or something.
Yeah, there are regulations, procedures they have to follow, I believe. I don't know exactly what they are, but there is something to do with reclamation of the land and so on. And I believe the DEC oversees that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know Volney seems to be a great gravel bed or whatever extraction, but not much put back into it, just left that way.
Any other public comment? Cindy?
Well, I guess since no one's mentioned the petition, I would like to make a statement about it since the petition asked for
Well,
my...
Cindy, I really said that I didn't want any more comments about that subject tonight because it's not an agenda item, and I don't want to get into debate tonight about it.
Okay. The one thing that I would like to ask the town board is for the town board to tell me tonight whether or not they believe I need to resign as a code enforcement officer. They voted for me by majority vote in January, and I haven't heard anything from anyone on the town board that has indicated that that's the case, and I'm wondering if they have some problem with the way I'm doing my job. I believe that it is being done according to the law, and I don't believe that the majority of citizens in the town of V0lney want the laws ignored. I can't believe that. The building laws and the zoning laws and the subdivision ordinance are there to protect us all. I know we all have some negative feelings about government at times, but I just like to ask the board members if anyone would like me to resign, because if the town is represented by the 5 of you, and if any of you on the town board, if the majority of you believe that I should leave my position, then I will do so gladly. I will not file any lawsuits or have any complaints about it, because you do represent the citizens of the town, and it's my job to protect them. Are there any of you that would like
Cindy,
to?
I don't think that's appropriate tonight because we haven't even got any information from anybody. There's some accusations out there that we don't even know what they are really, and we need more information.
The only thing that I would like to say then is anyone on the town board would like information, or anyone in the public would like information.
Wait, if there is not going to be comment, then she isn't allowed to do this either. There are people here that want to speak, Cindy. You're getting your chance, and they're being told they can't speak, one way or the other. Okay. I do not approve of this.
I just said that, Jim.
Okay, but you haven't enforced it. You've not told her to stop.
Fine, then if anyone on the town board wants to talk to me, they know where I am.
The other thing, since you didn't let the public speak, when she was defending herself during her report, she made a point of saying that she felt that she was working for much less per hour than planning and zoning members, and I do not feel that that was an appropriate comment. She has no idea how much time any of these people are spending working with the public or doing independent study to do their job better, and I don't believe it was her place to comment on what someone else was doing.
Okay. That'll be the end of that issue for tonight. Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, hearing none. Future meetings, one thing that's not on your agenda sheet that we failed to put on there, we have a zoning update meeting next Tuesday, I believe, May 16th at 6:30 p.m.
Now, is it 6:30 or
It's 6:30, and I'm going to tell you why, Jim. The actual update meeting is at 7, but at 6:30, Joyce Cook from the Fulton Public Library asked to have a half hour of our time to do a little presentation about the library
Because
for
I've
us.
got it written
Okay?
down at 6:30, or
Yep,
7. and I
6:30.
wasn't sure.
And then the zoning update meeting will begin at 7. That meeting is open. Anyone can come and sit in on it, but is not open for public discussion. Bill signing and agenda preparation will be June 6, 1995 at 7 p.m. Our next regularly scheduled town board meeting is June 8th at 7 p.m. I guess that's it for tonight, Jim.
Move to adjourn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just like they asked for the historian's office, if we could get all the Boy Scouts and all the people they were representing tonight, and so I could get a picture of them or something.
Okay. Have your cameras with you? Oh, okay. Okay, oh, she has one too. Okay, boys, did you hear that? The historian would like you to meet down in her office, which is down at the end of the hall. You just want the Boy Scouts?
No, just all of you.
Okay, we can all get down in front here then if you want to get a picture before everyone leaves. Okay.
I would just like to thank the town board and everybody for, on behalf of Troop 761, for allowing all of the boys to come up and participate in this meeting.
You're very welcome. Could you poll the council, please, Barb? These boys. Close the meeting.
Counselor
Oh,
Pierce? Aye.
I second it.
Okay.
Counselor Pierce?
Aye.
Counselor Ridgway?
Aye.
Counselor Smart?
Aye.
Counselor Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Rose?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.
Now you get your pictures.
Yeah. Boys, why don't we get down there right now and get in front and let them get a picture before we go?
Now I gotta go
Yeah,
home in
we'll
2
walk
minutes.
down.
You want a different one? That looks cute, I like that. There's one that I like. I'll show you real quick if I can find it. That guy. I think